So when we get towards the end, Dip, let me know because I have an activity for you two and everybody who's listening.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Love SND podcast. I am Dipti, your host, joined again by the fabulous older sisters, Sheena and Nina.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Today, we are talking about a topic that really hits close to all three of us. It's about why self-care feels selfish and how we're breaking that cycle. I have to say, growing up, our mom was a powerhouse. That woman never stopped. She would wake up, clean the entire house, go to work from 11 to 8 on her feet the entire time. And then at 8:30, she would come home and she would cook a meal for 20 people. Because yes, at one point in time, we had 20 people living in our house. And then she would clean up after all of them and then go to sleep. And she never, ever took time for herself. She never stopped to watch a show. She never went out and got a massage. She dyed her own hair. She never went to a salon to get her roots done. This was her life, right? And now, even to this day, if one of us mentions, going out to get a massage or taking a mental health day, her response is somewhat playful, but definitely seriously when she says, habo saru. Like, her equivalent of must be nice. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's
He
funny,
is
but
the
also
true definition of selfless. True definition. 100%.
yes, which we're going to unpack today because being selfless isn't always the right way to be. Nina, you've really pushed on us about taking care of yourself and making sure that we're mentally healthy to then support the people around us. So let's talk about first. Let's just put some sort of cultural backdrop on this for people who don't necessarily understand the Desi mentality of this. Let's talk about how one, family comes first.
Yeah. So I think in our culture and specifically in our household and upbringing, it was all about family. If you're a mom, a wife, a sister, a daughter, your family comes first. You're either taking care of your parents or your grandparents. If you have children, you're taking care of your children. And at all times, your life should be consumed by taking care of those around you, because as a woman, that's your role. Take care of people around you. When I think about mom growing up, her focus was so much on family, but she had to build this business. Her mindset was, I'm building this business for my family, for my girls. So that's how she got through 6 days a week, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., all holidays, all weekends. If you had to pull a 10 p.m. night during Diwali, we pulled a 10 p.m. night during Diwali because that was part of me taking care of my family. And so I think that in our Desi culture, it's just gone on generationally, right? Women are at home taking care of the family, whether it's through cooking, cleaning, laundry, all those typical, stereotypical ideas about a woman in the home, in a household. That's what the narrative was.
Yeah, those were like the expectations,
Still kind of
right?
is, I'm saying was, but it is still kind of like that. The expectations of women in general having to nurture and support a household.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Those are the things that even mom till this day expects of us.
100%. And that's why sometimes it gets so hard because Q 2025, we all have full-time careers because we went through educations that we were like, well, we're not wasting it doing nothing. So
Yeah.
let's keep rocking. And how is it that we can reshift that is going to be later in this episode.
Yeah.
No, I mean, those expectations that mom has, even of me, I know, mean the expectations she has of you are far beyond.
Because I'm her copy paste, right? Middle child with 3 girls. So it's literally like how I say my life is us 3 all over again. My life to her is her life all over again. For her, it's like, how can Nina do this differently? How should she do this differently? How can she? And she's like, don't work. And I'm like, well, that's not an option because that's not who I am. Right. But for her, it's like, well, I worked and sacrificed all these things when you 3 were little. And I don't want that for you. I want you to have all that time with your children.
Yeah.
So we're just doing it in different ways. Right.
Yeah, but also her expectation of you is also that you should be spending all your time on your home, making it perfect and livable and, just this beautiful oasis to go to all the time. And then also with the girls, the expectation that she has of you making these girls the perfect little angels is
Just like us.
wild. I know.
Far from it.
It's
Far
because she
from it.
sees us today and she's like, I did it all right.
No,
But
but
then
yeah,
also her expectation of what you should be to your husband, which to me is crazy because she has those expectations of me too. And I'm like, that is just not mine and Sachin's relationship. If Sach washes the dishes in the bathhouse, all hell has broken loose. And mom
any
is
of them.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you have failed.
You have failed. Exactly. But also her expectation of doing this with no complaints is so crazy.
I know.
Right?
I think
Like,
that that's how she was raised. That was her mom. That was her grandma. That's how they all were too. I think that it takes a certain personality, like Nina's or ours, to kind of slowly move from that norm to a new norm. And actually give her some grace. She has slowly understood where this next generation is going, and she has had some leniency, but she went through all of that with zero complaints. She did it all. She took it all on her. I don't know if you guys remember, but she had migraines when we were young. But she would take a nap, let it go, and move on. With or without a migraine, the meal was getting cooked and on the table. She was going to work. She would sleep in the store if she had to because her head was hurting. But she would go. She would be there for when she was needed, and she took her responsibility. She never thought about herself. She was like, I need to be here and I need to go, and I will come second. For us, we'd be like, I have a migraine, I'm taking a day off work. That was foreign to her. But that's how she was raised. And I don't think that it's absurd to have those expectations of us, but I think that there's gradual change in what those expectations look like. And we've also been slowly teaching her, like, Mom, it's very important to spend time on yourself. Like therapy, for example, is foreign to her. She's like, what do you need to talk to someone else or talk to me? But like slowly she's understanding
talking to somebody else about you.
Exactly. But like, can you
I'm
imagine, like, even that? I mean, like, that's like a very baby step she's taking towards it. But that's a big thing that's changed for her. Like now, if we take her to the spa, she'll be like, okay, actually, this is nice. But she never ever even thought about that in her.
Yeah, but also she doesn't willingly come to the spa with us. It's almost like we have to drag her to these places, and then she'll be like, oh yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, but that's not even her normal wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
I think that if she had that mental space, maybe she would think, I just need a massage today. But it doesn't even cross her mind. Meanwhile,
wait, hold-
us three are like all day.
Because I'm
I went
probably the
yesterday.
most similar to her. I will
Yeah.
say our form of self-care is folding laundry, wiping down the counters, doing the dishes, making sure, everything's neat and clean, as she likes to
Rearranging
say.
every bottle in the kitchen, moving the fridge from here to there. I'm just like, she's like, this is
That's
where I
our
find
therapy,
peace.
guys. That's our therapy.
That's what should be our therapy.
Actually, that's not wrong. That's very true.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, we also have our own psychological warfare when it comes to self-care too. There's always the guilt, the little voice in your head. I'll use this as an example. Sach and I do this parental therapy for Callan because he goes through these infusions and they're really tough on him, and then it just becomes very tough on the family. And so we've been going to this therapist, and every Wednesday at 2 p.m. we sit down and I'm like, damn, there's 500 things that I need to do on my list of to-dos. And here I am spending this time on me, whereas I could be so much more productive than just sitting here for an hour. And that's the cycle in your head that you have to get out of.
But I think a lot of women are doing that. You pause to do something outside of that task list, and it's like, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You should be just boom, 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 knocking things off that list. But if you think about it, that list is never ending.
Yeah.
Just because you knock one thing off, 10 more things are on there. So what's the point of these damn lists?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about hiring this household manager who would just do all these things for me, right? See, the fear of judgment, I think, is when I was like, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. Forget it. And your reaction is exactly what I'm talking about.
That's a you problem, not a me problem or her problem.
That's true. Let a
Carry on.
judgment if we'll
Carry on.
do what
We'll
we
hear you
do.
through. We'll hear you through. Go ahead.
Go.
No, there's so many things that I just don't like doing, like laundry that takes up so much time. I could easily outsource that. I know nobody can beat Nina in this, but Amazon returns or just regular return. But even doing simple things that she was like, I will take care of everything for you. Whatever you need done that you don't want to do, I will do it. I will do all your meal prep, cut all the vegetables, do all this. You just need to tell me what to do and it'll get done in 1 day a week and it'll be fine. But then it was like, well, this is my home and I should be the one that's folding my kids' underwear and going out and making sure that everything is all set. I should be the one to pour my heart into this so that my kids enjoy it and my husband enjoys it and people who come to my house enjoy my house. It's literally, again, the psychological warfare is intense.
I mean, you can do all that, but maybe you do it in your capacity. It doesn't have to be as piled on as you're saying. You can break those responsibilities up within your home too. Like Nina does, for example. Diab is old enough to maybe start folding a little bit of his own laundry and make it more of it's not all on me. Everybody's participating and such already does a lot. I know we're laughing, but it's really not the end of the world if you need to outsource a few things. It's just, that's not who you are. Do you enjoy doing laundry? I don't. I know. Nina enjoys it. Sammy enjoys it. I'm like, who enjoys doing laundry? But anyway, it just depends
I
on
enjoy folding
who you
it,
are.
but then it's the putting it away that I'm like,
But why do you do it? Just fold it and leave it in piles and to each his own. If your pile's still sitting there next week, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Do you think my 4-year-old is putting her underwear away?
Yes, I actually think she's very capable, but you don't let her. That's what I think.
Yeah, maybe.
If my 8-year-old is making her own grilled cheese sandwiches, Zuzu can put her own underwear away. It's actually very empowering for kids to feel like they're making a difference in their home.
Yeah.
So if you do these things and you give them the responsibility and then they actually fulfill their responsibility and cheer them on, they'll be like, dude, that was an awesome sort of reaction. I want that again.
But
I'm gonna do it again.
You're more OCD than I am. When they put their clothes away wrong or they just stuff it in, what are you doing?
I close the door. It's not a me problem. It's a them problem.
But
If
again,
all
like
wrinkled, that's not a me problem.
we were raised this way, Dip. Mom folded and ironed all of our underwear and put it all away. Mom did everything. So this is also a part of changing that cycle, breaking that cycle. You have to let them do it. This is maybe why we don't enjoy doing it, because it was always done for us. You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I think that I was helping her,
You were.
which is why I enjoy it.
I helped her too.
That's what
I
I'm
helped her
saying.
too.
Yeah,
I
And
100% did not help anybody do anything.
we know.
I
know.
everything was done for
Good.
me, and I know that for a fact. I don't think I ever made one lunch for school. I don't think
We
I
know.
ever
I know.
ironed one underwear.
God.
See, we're all gonna come back as Sheena in our next life.
Everybody.
Yes, literally
Everybody
everybody on earth says
Oh,
this.
me too.
Okay, wait. Back to self-care. You know, you're saying that you'd want a house manager. If it is something that would truly, genuinely help you in feeling like you've now gained this time, I think that what happens is that we have all these ideals that what it's going to be like. And then you're not only managing somebody else, they're in your home, they break something or something goes wrong. And now you're furious because you're like, I paid all this money. I could have just done it myself.
Yeah.
So like Sheen said, I think spot picking things that would help you is one way to do it. But we all have way too much OCD from mom to let somebody else control our home. I don't think we could
Maybe not
handle it.
me.
That's why we
Maybe
laugh,
not me.
because essentially we're all the same person.
Let's talk about how and what we're doing now. So, Neen, I think you've had a really huge impact on both of us in that once you changed or reframed it in your mind, you now help us reframe it in our mind. So I think that the things that you shared with us are so impactful. I'll let you really touch on that.
Wait, before you start, I think it was that Peru trip, right?
Mhm.
I think that was the turning point, and I think we should 100% do one episode talking about that transformation, because it was even wild for me to see her go through that transformation. But that's when it switched, and I think all of our mindsets changed from her influence on us from that trip. But carry on.
Well, so yes, that trip had a big part to do with it. But, you know, like I was told in that time of my life, that things will only happen for you when the time is right. When it's meant to happen, that's when it'll happen, right? So I went on this trip. It was literally a big shift mentally. And I think what I learned and what I try to share with Sheen and Dip a lot is that it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Just because the laundry's not done every Monday and Thursday, it's okay. Just because you didn't cook 5 home cooked meals because mom used to, it's okay. The bigger picture is finding the happiness and joy in what you're doing. Either way, you're going to have to get the task done. So get it done, but find the joy in it, because at the end of the day, I have adopted this kind of philosophy, which I try to tell them. It's not that we have to, but we get to. You know, this trip taught us so much. We're watching these wildfires, people losing their homes. We actually have functional washer dryers, and we get to do laundry. We get to wear clean clothes. We get to put them in closets. We get to put them in closets in a home. You know, so like if you just shift it in a way that makes it feel like gratitude, it's not bad. So
I think that's also like just jumping back to mom. It wasn't okay if a meal didn't get cooked, and it wasn't okay if she didn't show up to work. It was a product of her circumstances.
Yeah.
For us, we're so blessed that we can say, you know what, I didn't cook a meal this week. Let's just order out. Or the husband picks up the slack there. So yeah, I think you're right. Giving yourself that grace and giving yourself the ability to not harp over things that you can't do or you wanted to do and can't do is definitely a huge mind shift that you have to work on actively. Because
I think that it's okay phrase is so important. And actually, I don't think that I've heard that from you. Maybe Dipti has, but I haven't heard that from you. But that's actually really interesting because it's in general, right? Just this is a big part of mental health. Like the switching from it's okay and I get to, those are big mental health switches that I don't think mom even had the knowledge of. And we do. And that's a big progress in our self-care, that we get to experience these things and we have the ability to get to this place of being in a state of gratitude. I don't think mom had the time even to think about, I'm thankful for this. It was just go, go, go. Whereas we have that, and that's all self-care right there.
Yeah.
Just having the space to live in the I get to or it's okay.
Yeah. And
place.
even though, you know, we keep saying mom, 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 but like dad was just as driven and going and going and going and going. He was not going to get massages, but he did have the social bandwidth to decompress with friends. And because the narrative at the time was more on the female or, you know, the mom or the caretaker, that you're handling household so that the male or dad in our circumstances could go out and just decompress so that, you know, and that was okay and socially accepted.
Yeah.
And I think that when we think about the capacity of people, you know, even amongst ourselves, I think it's important to remember that if we just keep putting the positive on that self-care. So like I have a therapist, or you can say I have a coach, right?
Yeah.
If you're thinking about moments when you're super jealous or envious of your spouse or your friends being able to lead these lives, it's more like, you know what? Good for them because they're finding joy in that moment. It's not about me and how I feel. It's find the joy for them and then appreciate that. You know, I think that if we start to take self-care as an opportunity to rephrase all the narratives from the past and say self-care, again, is just filling up my tank, like as if I'm a car, I'm putting gas in the engine so that I can keep going. If without the gas, I can't go anymore. So any form of self-care is productive. It's never going to be something that works against you, ever. Ever.
Yeah. And like you said, it's also about having those conversations openly, right? I don't know if it's just a Desi thing or a female thing or what it is, but we don't necessarily talk openly about the things that we're doing for self-care. I try to have these conversations with my friends more and more just by saying, you know, we go to a therapist and I go and get massages because I have back pain. I'm doing these things for myself, but also just telling my friends and us talking about it, it normalizes it, at least within your own friend group, for you then to feel more comfortable about it. If somebody nods their head, that's great. There's something about that validity that you're getting out of somebody else that makes it feel more acceptable. Mm-hmm. Even though you're not looking for that validation, there is something to be said about being validated.
Yeah, I think Nina has definitely for at least me and Dip, opened our eyes to the definition of self-care, and not just being physical, like going to the gym or working out or eating right or taking vitamins. Mental self-care, I feel like, is equally as important, if not more, than physical. And we didn't have that growing up, at least not that conversation growing up. And so now I think it's really important for us to realize that and have that conversation with our children. Like, yes, you can go to the gym after school, but I'd also like you to take a moment and just relax. For example, you guys all know I have teenagers now. They go to the gym, and I'm like, you want to go to the gym for an hour? That's fantastic. You should definitely do that. But there's a sauna in there. Go into the sauna for 10 minutes after your workout, put on a Peloton meditation, and just take those 10 minutes and just decompress from school, sports, working out, friends, chats, Snapchat, all of that. And I feel like those baby steps that I have them do might lead to more awareness of what they need in life. I know it's like 10 minutes, but like Nina says, you start with 2, right? It's just building on that. It's just the awareness of I need that moment for myself to just disconnect. I mean, you guys, we've had the Snapchat conversation, just social media and phones and devices in general take away that time that we should really be pouring into ourselves. But it's the world that we live in. So it's very, very important to be mentally aware of what we need physically and emotionally, mentally, all of it.
Neen, do you do anything for the kids? Do they practice any sort of active mental health?
You know what our house active mental health is? Being bored.
Yeah.
Literally, phones off. They don't get anything. Phones off, TVs off, music off. We're all just sitting around, and then we'll start hearing the words, "I'm bored." I'm like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." They're like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "This is great. This is great. Give yourself some downtime to be bored," because they say now creativity and innovation have gone down because kids aren't bored anymore. When you're bored is when you create. When you're bored is when you imagine. When you're bored is when you connect.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, be bored. That's great. We do a lot of hiking with them. So walking in nature, because, nature is really good to connect and ground you, and being bored. A lot of being bored.
I love that. My kids are constantly bored. They live in boredom. I do everything in my power to keep them occupied, because if they're not occupied, they're super annoying. But they live in boredom. If 5 minutes of free time and I'm bored, and I'm like, I'm sorry, man, there's literally nothing more that I can come up with. So just deal with it. But that's when you hear them play together and come up with a game and start imaginative playing. Like Zuri's all of a sudden in a Bollywood movie and running around with a chundri in her head. Like, that's because they're bored and they have nothing else to do. So they're just finding, like you said, they're getting creative. My kids, honestly, we don't do anything. With Zuri, I do make her breathe deeply when she's super frustrated, because it actually does work for her. With Callan, it's been a very, very steep teaching curve, so much so that we couldn't handle it ourselves and we outsourced it. But with Diab, he's a chill guy. So even when he is worked up, he himself will take a minute and he'll go up in his room and he'll read, and he has those things that he knows works for him. But in terms of our own self-care, I know that we've gotten a lot of questions about what we're doing when we're overwhelmed. Because again, with 9 kids and work and family and friends and everything going on, how are you guys handling mental health? Like, what are you guys doing to decompress and make sure you're good? What are you filling your cups with?
Shin?
I complain to Sammy all day long. Him. All day. I'm like, this is so annoying. This is so annoying. He's like, how do you have all this time to be annoyed? And I'm like, I don't know, actually. It's interesting because I feel like when I'm overwhelmed, or if I'm annoyed, or if I have like a situation where I'm just like, what the actual, I call one of you two. Honestly, that's really what I do. I call, I vent, I release, and then I get some perspective, and then I let it go. That's really what helps me. We're fortunate to have each other to do that with, I know. So to say, like, if you don't have someone like that, or if you don't have a sister or a best friend or something that you can do that with, I think it's just important to release. So release it and then let it go. And for me, it helps me gain perspective on how small that frustration is in the grand scheme of life and what's happening around the world. I think about the things that are happening around the world a lot because the news is on a lot in our house. And all my frustrations, all my angers, everything becomes so small in the face of all of that. So I feel like that's where I go. Like if I'm getting really annoyed, I'm thinking about a bigger issue. When I talk to you guys, you say to me all the time, it could be a lot worse. And so that's where I go in a space of mental. And I know it's all perspective. And I know it's all like to each his own. Like this is a really big deal to me, but there are people going through a lot worse. So I try to get in that space of gratitude. It could be worse, but let's just take it face on and like day by day deal with whatever it is. So it's all very, it's perspective to me.
I think there's a balance there though, right? Because honestly, when somebody tells me that something I'm worrying about is not a big deal, it actually makes it worse. It makes me feel worse because now I'm like, well, why am I being so petty? But I think what you'll get from us two is very different, right? Like you'll get Nina who will give you the perspective, but you'll get the empathy from me. I'm more of the, yes, you're right, this does suck. And then Nina will swoop in and be like, but listen,
Yeah.
this is how you can reframe it, or this is what you can do to fix it. And this is what I would do if I was in your situation. And then you can take both of those things and move forward. I honestly think to have a person who will always say your problems are not as big as what's going on out in the world is not necessarily the healthiest thing. And that's a lot of why when I'm frustrated, there are certain people that I'll go to because I know what they're going to say. So Such, for example, won't say anything. He'll just let me word vomit all over him, but it's my release and I've done what I need to do. But then there's other times where I'm like, no, I actually just don't know what to do. And I feel lost. That's when I'll call one of you guys. And that's when I'll get the whole, okay, this is what you can do to fix it. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, that's a
when
good point. When I say something to Sammy or if something happens or whatever, and he'll say, who cares? Oh my flipping God, care. Literally care. That's why it's coming out of my mouth. Like, I don't that is my trigger. Who cares? I'm like, I care. So yes, I can see that. So you're right, actually. I go to certain people to hear certain things, but in my mind, I already know. Like it's almost like I just need to hear it or I need to say it and I need to let it go. But in my mind, I already know it's gonna be fine. Like it's okay, right, Nina?
I agree. I think I'm a product of my journey. So my journey took me through pediatric ICU, pediatric ER. So for me, when you guys come calling me and I'm like, guys, no one's dying. You ain't saving lives. When Neil's like, I have to answer this email. I'm like, yeah, you're not saving lives. Like, so I think that I know that's very extreme and it's just a product of my journey. But I think that in terms of self-care, when we can take a moment every day to just think about what we did right, it's enough. All we do as a society is tell each other what we're doing wrong. You're not doing this. You don't look this way. You're not wearing this. You didn't go on this side. You didn't make a meal. You didn't clean your house. You didn't do your blah, 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 like on and on. But if we're like, you know what? Today was a damn good day. I only yelled twice instead of 10 times.
Yeah.
You know, it's a damn good day. And so if we can just build those sort of little things that tell us that, we're doing okay. We're doing the best we can. As long as we are doing the best we can, I think that's a big step toward self-care. Like mom never tooted her own horn, ever. I don't think anyone in that generation toots their own horn. Where if you go on Instagram, everybody's tooting their own horn. And it's kind of like, okay, that's all nice and dandy. But when you put it in the perspective of your life and your goals and your purpose, just do the best you can and then acknowledge that you're doing the best that you can. So when we get towards the end, Dip, let me know because I have an activity for you two and everybody who's listening.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're not too far from the end because that was a very heavy lift today. But there's definitely some takeaways. And I think it's that, one, self-care is not selfish, right? We're changing that narrative. Self-care is absolutely important. It's necessary. And it's the only way that you're going to be able to do all the things that are expected of you, whether it's traditionally or now in modern era, whether it's outside expectations or expectations that you have for yourself. So on that note, let's end with something light. What is one self-care thing that you've done for yourself recently that made you feel amazing?
Me first.
Okay.
Self-care.
I'm so excited about this one because I've been wanting to do it. And then I need like that extra push. I thanks to my sisters, mainly Nina, purged my closet. And it is the best feeling ever. I feel lighter. I feel free. I can see my counter. I can see the back wall behind my hangers. It just feels amazing. I feel like that weight came off me. And actually, once it was out of sight, it was just out of mind. I was like, what jeans did I really have sitting in that pile? I can't even remember anymore.
Yeah, the jeans that you wore in high school that you still had in your
They're
closet.
so nice. But like it felt amazing. And it also felt amazing to just like, here, use it. Somebody, for God's sake, use it. Because
Yeah,
I'm not using
for
it.
sure.
That felt good.
Neen, what did you do?
I also purged my whole house, which was great. But in terms of this week, I got my gel nails taken off, and it took so damn long. And I'm like, somebody just take these things off my fingers. And they
The red
did.
ones?
Yeah, I'm back to like me.
Oh, you both and your
that
dad
was my
fingers.
form
I
of
can't.
self-care. Huh?
I don't know.
You both and your dad fingers. I'm just never gonna. I'm
Short
never
and
gonna.
pudgy, just like me.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. So, that was an act of self-care that it was driving me bananas. And
Yeah.
I, to sit there while somebody tapes your fingers and you literally can't do anything, it's awful, but I did it for
Word.
me.
Good.
What'd you do then?
Good.
I've been living with chronic back and neck pain forever and ever. And yesterday I got a medical massage by I don't even know what she is medically, but
Chiropractor?
no, it wasn't a chiropractor. But she basically felt my whole body and she educated me on what's going on. And it was a 90-minute massage. And I'm telling you, that pain that I had for the last 10 years, I do not feel today,
Wow.
which is wild.
Is
If
it
you guys
something
want
you
the
have to
name and number of this lady,
consistently
let me
do?
know because she is incredible. What?
You have to consistently do that, or you just need it at one time?
So I don't know. I did already book my next appointment because I was like, oh, let's just keep doing this.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a massage in that she was, massaging me. She was like stretching me and then digging deep into these really painful areas. But when she did that, it released so much. It was incredible. But that was my self-care and it was the best thing I did for myself.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right, guys. Neen, you have an activity. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it real quick, okay?
Okay.
I want you both and anyone who's listening right now
Mm-hmm.
to say one thing that you're really proud about yourself.
What do you mean?
Anything you're really proud about yourself. Like toot your own horn.
I feel even like,
Do you see how hard this is? If I said, tell me one thing you're doing wrong, you would have given me 75 things.
yeah.
Oh my God, that's so
I'm
weird.
just asking for one, guys. Just one. Dang.
I am very proud of myself for being a judge, but not just being a judge, being someone that little girls look at and think I can be her.
Awesome.
Okay.
We're very proud of you for that too.
Thanks.
Okay. I have two things.
Go.
Obviously.
I only asked for one.
Obviously.
Go.
Okay. I'm very proud of myself for making a list of goals in 2025 and actually pursuing two of them within the next week. Like setting it up to be pursued, not just making the list and going, okay, I'm going to get to this. That's one. And then two, I'm very proud of myself for, what are we on Thursday? This week, I cooked every single meal. Fresh meals all day. I'm so
Awesome.
happy. No ordering out this week.
Very good.
Awesome. I hope our listeners did it too.
What's yours, Neen?
Oh.
Duh.
I'm proud that I haven't gotten irritated by life yet. This week.
This
Thursday.
week, the whole week so far? It's
Yeah.
Thursday, girl.
So far, I haven't gotten irritated by life. Just letting it be okay. Everything is okay.
Love that.
Yeah.
Let's just, I think, try to live in a space of gratitude. I think it's so important. The hardest thing to do, but probably the most important
Yeah.
thing to do consistently.
Yeah.
Like you said, we get to. So it's good for us to do that. And then it's also good for our children to learn
Yeah.
that too from us. We get to go to school, not we have to go to school.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
All right. On that
Alright.
note, thanks for listening with us, guys. With love, S&D. Bye.
Bye.